Hello, I am Marcia H. Welcome to my workshop on retrieval practice and effective learning. At the conclusion of the workshop, participants will be able to achieve the following learning objectives: define retrieval practice and explain why it is effective, analyze the importance of forgetting in the learning process, describe how the testing effect enhances learning, outline the essential components of effective retrieval practice, develop retrieval practice activities for your course design. Research confirms that active learning strategies such as retrieval practice are essential for converting new knowledge to long-term memory. Traditional course designs focus too much on passive learning. Students develop the skill to take information in, but not necessarily the skill to access information. The more information touch points the brain encounters, the stronger the learning. Learning mistakes. Instructors and students prefer ineffective study models such as massed practice because learning gains are quick and clearly visible. These models produce learning gains in the short term, but the gains are not sustainable over time. Research shows that activities such as rereading lead to fluency illusions in which students believe they know more than they actually do. Instructors are also susceptible to mistakenly thinking their students are further along in the learning process than they really are. Scientific studies have demonstrated the positive learning benefits of active learning. Reflection is an example of an active learning technique. Reflection practice fortifies memory structures for the new information by connecting it to prior experience. This is the brain's consolidation process for converting new information from short-term memory to long-term memory. Retrieval practice. Retrieval practice is a highly effective learning tool for cementing information into long-term memory. Vaughan, Hausman, and Cronell suggest that retrieval practice increases learning regardless of the amount of time devoted to retrieving. Retrieval practice conducted by the instructor in the classroom and continued outside of the classroom by the student is a potent learning strategy. Recalling information from memory strengthens memory signatures, enhances connections to prior knowledge, and provides context for deeper learning. It should be noted that a recent study indicates that individual differences in students may play a role in the overall effectiveness of retrieval practice. Studies show that course designs that require students to put out effort to learn new information produce better long-term learning results. Instructors should create opportunities for students to try to solve problems and answer questions that will challenge their knowledge and improve their critical thinking ability. When students are able to meet learning challenges for newly acquired information, desirable difficulties are created. According to research, desirable difficulties promote durable learning retention. Delayed retrieval after initial quizzing further enhances learning because it makes recall from memory a harder process. Testing is an effective form of retrieval practice that strengthens memory and informs instructors and students about how well they are grasping new material. An instructor is an expert in their field, which can make it harder for them to teach the foundation knowledge to students. It must be pointed out that students tend to overestimate their learning based on their growing familiarity with the subject matter. The most beneficial results of retrieval practice are experienced when students are required to recall information from memory repeatedly. It is important to note that repetition does not mean mindlessly recalling information with little effort. Memory recall must be challenging to be the most effective. We know from research that the brain needs the exercise of repeated recall to stabilize new memories and convert new information to long-term memory. It cannot be overstated that the more opportunities students have to recall information, the better their information is retained. Suggestions for implementation. According to research, incorporating at least one quizzing opportunity in your course design will increase student learning. Ideally, several low-stakes quizzes should be a part of the course design. To be most effective, the quizzes should be scheduled. Students should be quizzed on recent material and material that was learned in earlier class sessions. Testing information that was learned early on tests the memory. Studies have indicated that a byproduct of low-stakes testing is that student attendance improves. You might wonder what type of low-stakes testing provides the greatest benefit. Research by Smith and Karpicki indicate that short answer testing is most effective in some cases, but in other instances, there is no discernible advantage over multiple choice questions. A free recall activity would consist of giving students 5 minutes at the beginning of class to recall from memory as many concepts as they can that were taught in a previous class session. If you want to make it more difficult, ask students to provide a brief definition of each concept. After 5 minutes is over, have volunteers tell the class some of the concepts they listed and describe in their own words what the concepts mean. A reflection activity would involve requiring students to complete a brief reflection paper following each class session. Students should pick a key concept that was learned in class and reflect how that concept relates to them personally. This activity encourages students to relate prior experiences and prior knowledge to the new concepts they are learning in class. Studies demonstrate that reflection activities contribute to deeper encoding into long-term memory. Students can use clickers for required response activities or polls if the course is online. The instructor can ask questions related to understanding key concepts and ask students to choose the best answer. These activities are helpful for the instructor and class because it gives everyone an opportunity to gauge weak areas and strong areas of understanding. As an assignment, students could develop flashcards for key concepts that they have learned in class. For memory, students will recall the key concepts and take note of weak and strong areas of understanding. Concepts that they understand well should be put in a pile to review occasionally. Concepts that they are struggling with should be reviewed more often. The key is that all concepts should continue to be reviewed. The flashcard review sessions should be spaced to be the most effective. In summary, studies suggest retrieval practice is not just a way to assess learning, but it is a key process for enhancing learning. Retrieval practice is a potent learning tool that is intrinsic to a learner-driven course design. Empirical evidence clearly supports the value of effortful memory recall. Retrieval techniques strengthen memory structures that lead to deeper, sustained learning. Low-stakes testing, free recall, reflection, required recall, and creating flashcards are examples of retrieval activities that instructors can incorporate into their course design. Thank you for participating in the workshop. The last slide contains a reference list that you can use for further information on retrieval practice.